Welcome to my backyard. Today I'm going to share with you the story of Gideon Massey, the kid that played all the sports, that focused on a minor sport and became a two-time Olympian. He turned the minor sport into a major accomplishment. Find out how he did it in today's Lessons in Winning. I'm here with Gideon Massey. Gideon is a two-time Olympic cyclist, and we're sitting here by this warm Southern California fire. We're rocking it. Is it warm enough for you, Gideon?
I think so, yeah. California warm.
California warm. You know, Gideon and I have done some mental edge work together, and what I've come to know is Gideon is one of those gentle, intense guys that his demeanor belies his intensity. Has it always been that way?
Yes. I've always been very quiet, very cerebral, very observant, and then just kind of switch on, and I'm in my element and go from there. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what caused you to make your first Olympic team?
A lot of perseverance, a lot of hard work, a lot of disappointment, and a little bit of success along the way.
There you go. And how fast are you moving along that velodrome?
We're approaching speeds of 50 miles per hour or faster.
Wow.
Under our own power, just coming from our legs, and it's a 45 plus degree bank track, single speed bike, no brakes, a piece of carbon fiber underneath us, designed for one purpose, and that's to go fast.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw the velodrome, and I saw those bank turns, and I think, how the heck do you have the guts to do that? You know, the first time you hit one of those banks, what was it like?
You know, the track I grew up on was a little bit more subdued. It was every track's a little bit different. This one wasn't quite as steep, so I had the good fortune of kind of being slowly immersed into it. The other ones, it's an experience. I remember a track in Moscow where it's twice the size, the height of the ones that we normally ride, same steepness, and that was an experience in of itself, because you're 2 stories high, 45 degree banking. You're thinking, you know, am I going fast enough? Am I going to fall to the bottom? You know, what's going to happen here? So every track's different. Everyone's unique. I like to think that each one has its own character and its own kind of energy to it.
Yeah. I remember the track in Carson. I was standing on the edge of one of the turns, and there was a pack of cyclists that went by me. Yeah. They were halfway around the track, and this tremendous gust of wind blows by. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah. That's what drafting about, isn't it? The wind came way after they passed me.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting because we're constantly traveling in an oval, in a circle. When you have a big group like that, you actually can still benefit from the draft, even as much as a quarter lap or half lap back. You're actually still benefiting from that draft because the air is circulating. So you have a warm-up session at a World Cup or something before an event, and you've got everybody flying around doing efforts, and that air just continues to move and circulate. So it's interesting how it all works.
Yeah, it was a mind blower for me. I had no idea the speed, the dynamics, and the crashes. Oh my God! Yeah. Some of those crashes, man. People are flying for 100 feet or more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You stand at the boards and kind of, you know, ladies, hold your skirts down, because it's like, you know, the wind comes through and blows by. You fall, and when you fall, you slide, and you slide up track and then back down track, and you try to avoid them when you can if they happen. But everything in your mind is happening at slow motion. And it's you know, things happen so quickly, and sometimes you're in and out of it like that. It's like, you know, Days of Thunder, where it's just put the pedal down and, you know, close your eyes and go through.
Just go through. Yeah. So how the heck did you get started in riding a bike in a velodrome?
I was fortunate to grow up in a very strong track cycling community in Pennsylvania. So I was introduced to the sport at the highest level at an early age. So I got to be immersed and see the top dogs just doing what they do, whether it be training, racing, whatever, and seeing what they do. And that gave me a kind of a expectation, a point to see where you could go and what was capable, what was possible. but I started obviously from the very bottom. Just had to learn the fundamentals, and was excited about it. Loved the sport. Look for opportunities to learn, and me mixed in with those folks. So did a lot of road when I was young, but also the track was always there as well.
Okay. And so you did the road work with who? How did you get involved in that?
Road was one of those things as a youngster, as a junior rider, which is under 18, and at that time I was 10 or 12 years old. We have opportunities to ride with teams, so a lot of the junior experience is being able to have that camaraderie with your children your age, and as part of that we would do races that were local. Some we had to travel a little bit, get in the car and travel a couple hours and go to, but there was a lot of opportunities to race on the road as a team, as a junior, so we would try to hit all of those events. I remember spending my weekends in the car with my parents as they would shuttle me back and forth to races, and early mornings and late evenings in some cases, but that was a part of the experience growing up.
Yeah, so it was a family time. Good bonding time. You're only child, right?
I am.
You weren't adopted.
I was not adopted.
Yeah. For some reason, I got to talk. I've known Giddy for a couple of years, and for some reason in my mind, I thought he was adopted. He's a single. He was the only child. He wasn't adopted, so we got that right.
News to me.
News to him. Hey, did you play other sports besides cycling?
I did. The very first sport I picked up was golf. As a matter of fact, I took lessons for it for a period of time. I played baseball and I played basketball. And then otherwise, I was just generally involved in youth sports.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the most outstanding part of your childhood, your youth as an athlete? What stands out to you? Is it a cycling event? Is it another sport? What kind of hits the nail on the head for you?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, thinking back, so much time is you're going back and thinking about the good old days in some senses. I think the first opportunity to maybe travel internationally as a high schooler, going off and being a part of a team, and then being in a different country.
So you're part of the national team at that time, youth national team?
Yeah, I was one of the few, and maybe even one of the first to be a junior rider and also be competing on the senior level. So I was doing junior world championships and then senior world championships, all in the same year.
Wow.
So I was, I had some good opportunities that I earned when I was young.
What was the most significant win you recall?
I think probably my first one of significance that comes to mind is my first national championship as a junior. I was. It was the first opportunity to race at that level in that setting, but I was also at home. I was in Pennsylvania, racing on a track I was familiar with. There were other events that I took part in, and I was a bit disappointed because I didn't kind of have the results that I wanted in those, and it came down to this one final race and a bit of a storybook type of ending, but I was one of the last ones to go off, and still had people after me. I set a fast time for this particular event. It was a time trial, and just had to watch people go after me, and then each time I was still there, and at the end of the event, I was still at the top. So that was my first junior national title, unexpected in that event. And I was able to do it at home as well.
Gideon, what were some of the lessons in winning you learned from your parents?
I think just persistence, just to continue to keep showing up, to continue to. It doesn't matter what the result was before. You come back out again and have an expectation that a right expectation that if you put in the work, you have opportunity to win. But you just, you keep trying, keep doing it. You don't. That to me was just. You don't quit. You don't give up. You step up to the line, and that was my mentality all the way through sport. Was I don't care who you are. I don't care, if you've beat me 10 times before. The 11th time, my perspective is I still have a shot at this. And
interesting.
That was very much based on my preparation. I believe that the work ethic that I had to prepare myself to the best of my ability. And then beyond that, whatever happens, happens. It's exciting because you don't know what's going to happen.
That's great lessons from your parents for sure. And as a two-time Olympian, what was more satisfying, the first one or the second?
I think the second one in some senses because there's no guarantees. The first one, of course, it's special. It's a brand new experience, but you understand what it takes at that point to make a team. And then the next one, it's like, okay, you basically start from scratch. You got to do it again. There's no freebies. You have to earn your spot. You have to beat out the same old competitors and the new ones coming up along, the new crop. There's no sure things.
Interesting. How important is the equipment? At that level, your bike, how important is having the right bike?
It is important. We talk about, the one percenters, and it's, not just physically, but also the equipment to a certain degree. Everybody at the certain level is almost on the same platform when it comes to the equipment. But thousandths of a second. There's an old Seinfeld skit where he talks about the Olympics and the difference between first, second, and third. He sticks his head out and goes first, second, third.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
yeah,
it's,
absolutely.
I mean, look, but that's what it is. It comes
Yeah.
down to the smallest detail, and if it's in the equipment, then that can be the difference. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes. You still got to ride the bike.
What does a bike like that cost these days?
There are some that are more than $10,000 just for the frame itself.
Wow.
Now, a lot of that is the research that goes into it. So, all of that is kind of encompassed in the cost of it. One of the rules that they have is that any bike that we ride in competition has to be available to the public for them to purchase as well. So
Oh, really?
it kind of limits some of what is potentially possible from the mad scientists that create the things that we ride.
Interesting. So if you got the bike, you got the body. Tell me about that. How hard is it? What kind of training do you do?
Yeah, it's a lot of time in the gym. It's a lot of time on the bike. The sport has evolved very much since I began to what it is now. So there's a big emphasis on being strong.
Yeah.
There's a big emphasis on riding very large gears. So for anybody that has a bike, a road bike with gears, we are racing in gears even far above. If you were to put it in the biggest chainring on your road bike and the smallest cog in the back wheel that you have and pedal around, we're racing on gears that are larger than that. So,
Wow. That explains these thighs of yours. Yeah?
Yeah.
This guy's huge. You look like a linebacker. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're not like the little tiny Tour de France guys.
I don't have to worry about going up hills.
That's good. So now we got the bike, the body,
Yeah.
the mind. How
Yes.
important is the mental part of cycling?
Hugely important. Again, it's you are. It's between the ears that dictates. Sometimes even before you step to the line,
Yeah.
what the result is going to be, and that's what I love about the Olympics. Is that one of the things I love about the Olympics is because you can have guys show up on the same day with the same results up to that point, and then they'll either rise to the occasion or falter at the same point. So I love that about the games. It's a pressure that's very unique to that experience.
Yeah.
You don't get any second chances, particularly in our sport. You got to get it right the first time, and I like that. I think it's what makes it special.
Yeah, that is so special. It's such a you can't duplicate that in normal life, right? Selling homes, if you don't, the home doesn't go, you get the next one, right?
Yeah.
Now, what you sell homes for a living now?
I do.
Correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. I tell people that it's not dissimilar from being an athlete because, it's long days. It's a lot of work. There's no guarantees, but I'm accustomed to that. It's you put in the work, you learn, and at some point the due diligence pays off, and that's my space. That's my world. I work very, very hard and very long to accomplish things in the sporting realm, and now I can kind of attribute those attributes to a business mindset, and it's a space that I'm comfortable in to a large degree.
Excellent. So if you want to buy or sell a house with a man from integrity, this is the guy right here. And look what's on the finger. Well, what is that? That's
Yeah.
your Olympic ring, right?
This is my Olympic ring. This is from my second Olympics. It's I've for a long time I didn't wear it, and then it kind of, I'm like, I pass by it all the time in the house. I'm like, let me put this on and wear it. It's just, it's special to me. It's just a reminder of the hard work and so forth. And so I wear it whenever possible. I lost my first one, which I'm pretty bummed about. But it happened years ago. I lost it in an airport, Chicago airport. So if anybody
Dude, brutal.
finds a Olympic ring in Chicago airport,
Gideon's, yeah. So
be mine.
if you were a cyclist
Yeah.
growing up,
Yeah.
what other sport would you played to fulfill a dream?
That's a tough question because I think at some point in time I determined with the help of my parents that the Olympics were something I wanted to pursue. There's not many sports that you're automatically kind of gravitate towards, okay, the Olympics.
Yeah. So that was an early dream then,
It was.
to be an Olympian.
Yeah, it was.
That takes out some of those other basic sports, yeah.
You know, it does, but it's also kind of, because I was involved in cycling, my thought process was, what's the pinnacle of the sport?
Mm-hmm.
And for cycling, it's unless you're on the road side of things,
Right.
it's not Tour de France. For track cycling, it's the Olympics.
Right.
So I said, okay, what do I need to do to get there? So it's difficult to say because all of the lessons I've learned through cycling that have given me the opportunity and the drive to want to achieve the Olympic level has grown over that period of time. So it's tough to say would I have the same motivation and drive in a sport like baseball or something. My dad played baseball. I played basketball as well. I would love to think that had I pursued either one of those sports or golf even, that I would have reached the same level, but I'm not really sure. I like to think that had I done so that I would have, but that's a tough question.
You chose right.
I guess so.
Let me ask you this question. As an athlete, what's one word that describes you?
I would say driven. Really, I would equate it to not giving up. That's 3 words, but
Yeah.
that's me in a nutshell. If you tell me that I can or that's not possible, then I don't. Just to me, that doesn't even click. Figure out a way and make
You'll
it work,
find a way.
and then you just work at it until you do.
As a person, what's one word that describes you as a person?
In the sporting
As a
arena,
human being.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say a person of principle.
Principle.
Yeah, a person of principle.
Do you live your principles? They're important to you.
They are.
Yeah.
They are very much so, especially as I get older. It's not always the popular thing. I have a strong base in where my values are, whether it be in sport or life in general. And so I'd say principle.
Excellent. After it's all said and done, would you do it over again?
Absolutely. The life lessons, my perspective on athletics now, and the lesson, it's been a large part of my life, and I'm so fortunate to be involved in it. The Olympic community is very close to my heart, and it's a very much a close community, and one where you meet another Olympian, you're immediately on a different page of how what you talk about your experiences
yeah.
and things like that, and it's special because we talk about never former, never past in the Olympic realm, and those experiences are a lifetime's worth in 2 weeks.
That's great. That's in 2 weeks. There it is. 4 years. There it is. Lifetime. There it is.
Yeah.
When you think of lessons in winning, what's the lesson you want to pass on to the audience? In a sentence or two, what's the number 1, 2, or 3 thing they should be thinking about to make themselves winners?
I think you have to have a love for what you do, because there's going to be days where you don't like it, and there's going to be days where you doubt, is this what I should be doing? So I think a love for what you do, that doesn't go away through the difficult times. I think a clear reason why you're doing it, so clear goals. Some people talk about a why. And then just no shortcuts. I mean, you do the work, you put in, you grind in the good times, the bad times, and at that point you can rock up to any situation or any competition with confidence, knowing that you've prepared to the best of your ability, and the results are going to be what the results are. I think those are keys to being in a position to be successful and to win, and then come back to them and do the same thing again. It's a recipe, it's a process. It's the same, and then you take that recipe and put it into something else that you do in life, and I think those are, to name three, if you're limiting me to three, I think those are some important ones.
Excellent. So I like that. So we love what we do.
Yeah.
We have a clearly defined goal,
Yeah.
and we do the work.
Yeah.
And then we lather, rinse, and repeat. Just keep doing it over and over and over again. So I've done a few triathlons. I've been on the bike many times, riding, no lessons, no instruction.
Yeah.
What's the number one problem you see with people who just get on a bike and start riding?
Yeah, I would say the number one problem is not having a proper saddle height. I think that goes a long way. People are just uncertain about where to place their saddle. So I would say two things. One, if it's too high, you run the risk of just being very uncomfortable and your hips, having problems in your hips. So your hips actually begin to rock because you're reaching for the pedal. So when you're pedaling at the bottom of the pedal stroke, your toe is actually pointing and your hips rocking down to compensate for saddle being too high. Conversely, the saddle being too low, and sometimes your heel is dropping to compensate, and you're just not getting full extension and power out of these big muscles that can propel you forward on the bike. So getting your saddle height correct is going to go a long way into improving your experience on a bike.
Excellent. So what should that cycle stroke look like? What should the leg foot be doing?
Most importantly, I would say pedal circles. In your mind, think about pedaling circles. Think about pushing on the way down and pulling on the way up. So through the bottom of the pedal stroke, there's a little bit of ankle flexion, but you're also scooping and digging and pushing through, and then eliminating dead spots, just constant power. So a good exercise might be to pedal with one foot, leave the other foot out of the pedal, and just practice pedaling without hearing that click where it catches. Trying to improve that pedaling circles.
That rotation, that circle. Excellent. Gideon Massey. Cycling tips with Gideon, the man. Awesome. Thanks, Gideon.
All right, thanks a lot.